You're listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. What up, everybody? It's your host, your boy, Al Mega, Comic Crusaders podcast, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. And today we're talking the business once more. I got my good friend, man, our blockchain expert. I mean, the man knows his stuff. The one and only Dion, absolutely William. What's poppin', Wilson? What's poppin'?
Hey,
What's poppin'?
Hey, Al, how's it going, man?
Doing good.
You
doing
humble
good.
me. You humble me with blockchain expert. I try not to put those two words together, man.
No, but you are, brother. When I have a question, there's no other person I would rather ask than Dion. You're the only person I know that's gonna give me a real honest. And when I asked him about NFT, folks, he goes, "Everybody's late to the game." I was like, "What?" And then he put me on as to why. My man knows the stuff, brother. I hope you've been well, because I know that today we're gonna introduce a new team member to the Multiverse family. That he's a man that is an advocate for indie. I mean, he's been in the business himself, and he found a platform that's going to help push his ideas as well forward with helping the community, with showing independent creators why they need to get involved in certain factors and grow with certain things, right? I'm very happy to introduce your newest team member, the one and only Mr. Paul Berry. What's up, brother?
Hey.
Brother, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate you taking some time. And once Dion said, we have this awesome new team member, part of the family. Introduce yourself. Tell us, where you from, where you your position within the multiverse, and then we're gonna get into some talking.
Okay. Well, my name is Paul Berry. I am from Auburn, Washington. I'm the president of Ballistic Comics. I'm also the VP, senior business development in Multiverse.
Ooh, what a title!
Yeah, that's a big title. It's a big thing.
Scary.
But I love it. I get a chance to work with a lot of people and help them develop, the same type of, thing that I'm trying to develop, which is a brand, comics.
Branding, and through the use of amazing technology too, because again, that's where a lot of creators may stumble. I know that a lot of them are busy, but they need to understand that you got to take advantage of all these new wonderful technologies that are headed our way, because it is in fact the future. So tell us a little bit about Ballistic, and then how that kind of steered your way towards with Dion and everything.
Well, Ballistic Comics got started about 3 years ago, and we waited until I was looking around for talent, and I was trying to kind of gauge how everybody was doing. You're working with so many different personalities. You have, your artists, your inkers, and kind of the basic things that people who want to start a comic book company think about. We think about the creation, the book itself. And so, I got started with just putting out a book or two. And at first, I was just going and putting that, as just a digital copy onto Amazon. Okay. And what I started noticing is that putting out all of these issues that we did on Amazon, that a lot of the sales that we were accumulating did not come from in the state. So we didn't have US sales, we had out of the country sales. Don't know how it happened, but I was able to gauge that and see that. And so we brought on more people, and we started to go, okay, well, how do we use this to our benefit? And it just so happens that we were still trying to figure that out. And Dion reached out to me, and we got to talking about the platform that Multiverse uses in order to push our brand and get us to go global.
Okay.
Which is that's, I guess that would be the goal for every comic creator to have, because you want to be a brand and you want to get into people's houses. If you can't get into the house, you can't be a brand.
Agreed. Agreed. That's where I'm trying to go with Comic Crew too. It's the global, there's Comic Crusaders and then there's Almega, the man behind it. You know what I mean? So what was it specifically within the world of the multiverse that, when Dion connected? Because I know when Dion starts, bringing you the greatness of the multiverse, hero legend, all the different things that are part of that, what was it that really sparked you to say, like, wow, I need to be a part of this somehow?
The technology. The technology was the number one thing. I think right now for independent comic creators, they're all looking for a way to gain more followers. They want to build a bigger presence. But a lot of times we're looking for just, us to create a story and deliver that story for people to be able to read, and enjoy that part. But there's a lot more little pieces that put everything together that would have it run smooth. Like, for instance, you're running a business. Your comic book is not just a comic book, it's a business.
Yep. So the product now.
So you really are trying to find a way to get it to where you can get it in Africa. You can get it, in Egypt. You can get it here in the US, and it's still well known everywhere. But we're using platforms such as Instagram, we're using Twitter, we're using fundraising, Kickstarter programs, things like that. But those things won't necessarily sustain your business. So that is what really brought me to the attention to just go ahead and hop into multiverse. It was the right move.
No, I agree there, because the one thing about the multiverse is, again, is allowing to use your library. You could, again, what if you're not using those characters? I mean, where is Ballistic now in the scope of the things? I mean, what is Ballistic doing?
Right now, we're still putting together stories. We still have content that we would like to put out. I'm taking a little bit of time to make sure that I can get into my new position here and just kind of settle in, learn as much as I can, soak up as much business as I can, and be able to help other artists and creators as much as I can.
So Dion, how is it having, what was that decision to have and bring on pberry, to the position you brought him onto within the brand?
What struck me was Paul's during our several conversations, and lengthy because of the amount of time that I talk. What struck me was Paul's articulation of the needs of small business in general, and then secondly, being able to look at that very granularly, at the comic for indie comic creators, looking at their needs, understanding where they need to be in terms of business, not just producing the comic or even the follow-up products, t-shirts, coffee mugs, etc. And then the third thing was his consciousness of the use of technology, how it is currently available, as he mentioned, the social media platforms, the crowd raising platforms, crowdfunding, and being able to understand that a greater use of technology would be necessary to really move the indie creator forward. So those things really stood strong in my mind, and they echoed back to where I was with the team when we started this business. And seldom do I hear anyone articulate as well as he did. So that was a game changer. That was a game changer.
There you go.
He got it. Most people don't get it. And I want to state something real quick when it comes to most people that don't get it. I challenge the angels, venture capitalists, private equity, and other such professionals that claim to understand the money behind businesses. If you really understood that, then you could come to this business, this sector, and you could understand what we're talking about. But even if you were to ignore us for a moment, you could look at the numbers yourself. And those professionals, I don't believe, have the best understanding, and they need leadership and guidance, navigation in this environment, just like in any environment they invest in. And they need it from the people that are on ground that are dealing with this. So we're here, we deal with indie creators. We deal with indie creators from all around the world. And not only when we talk about indie creators and we talk about comics, we're really talking about a much more expanded experience than just reading the print material or the digital material. We're talking about the toys. We're talking about the costume performers, you know, the professional actors and actresses that don those costumes for us at any one given time. And we're talking about what they do in preparation for that. We're talking about the animated film and television professionals who take this written and visual medium and put it into another form of visual medium, you know, whether it's animation or live action. And so, you know, and video gaming, right? So there are so many additional areas that are important. And when we think of comics, we really need to think of the entire environment of that pop culture entertainment, because comics really is the seed to all of these things. And I could go on forever on that, but I just want to point that out, that Paul showed an articulation of the need for business and the understanding of formula, the understanding of it's okay to love to write, it's okay to love to illustrate, but you've got to have, even if you don't like it, you've got to have a consciousness and awareness and a behavior of business practices to get those materials into the consumer's hands and other businesses' hands that can help you take it even further. So I love that about Paul. And, you know, I want to be his champion. I really do. I want to be the champion of independent creators. And Paul is the best example of this so far.
Well,
Thank you.
Dion, you're on your way
Yeah,
for that, because the whole platform is just that. You're educating creators on a whole different world of possibility here, you know, especially with maybe even unused material. Hey, just because you're not working on it doesn't mean it doesn't hold value.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
why are you so passionate about this, Paul? Where does that passion really come from and start?
You know, I'm an artist. I've been drawing ever since I was, oh my goodness, to my grade school. I'm 45 now. So, you know, I've got kids, and my kids are drawing. And they like seeing what I do. They like me explaining to them why I'm doing it this way, what the process is, and why is Dad doing this on the iPad? Well, because Dad was using paper, but the process now needs to be streamlined. You know, it needs to be streamlined now because we're thinking of faster, how to make the process better, how to get it to your team in a more efficient manner. We're talking about everything that makes a comic book work so that everything else can work around it. Just like Dion was saying, you know, look, I've got t-shirts, I've got coffee cups, but t-shirts and coffee cups and stickers and all that won't go anywhere if nobody knows you exist.
Exactly.
So
I mean, it's nice branding, but that's about it, because you're not doing anything with the brand. Doesn't really matter.
Exactly. And you have to be able to have somewhere where people can see it, you know, and it's just more than just what's in the country, because here in the US, we tend to think about, when we think of comics, we think of Batman, Superman,
Marvel, DC.
Marvel,
we think about two big labels. Right? That's it. No one else exists, apparently.
Exactly. And so, but us in our 40s and up and a little bit below that, we think of Image Comics.
Yep.
You know, that's what we grew up on. And to us, that was the first real, you know, idea, or let's say example of a independent comic company really getting out there and then just blowing up. But that was because they were already very well known and established artists and writers
within their respective bigger brands.
Exactly.
Correct.
So, you know, so now it's time for the independent artists that we have, and we've got millions of independent artists and companies. So how do you get all of those artists and writers and creators of anything else, any kind of material at all, to get out in front of the public? Well, you need a platform. You need a platform, and you need the technology to be able to get you there. And that's where Multiverse comes in.
In your opinion, fellas, you know, again, well, Paul being the new jack, I'm gonna pick his brain. But what do you think is the fear, if that's what you want to call it, fear of independent creators, you know, stepping into the realm of tech in this way?
You want to take that, Paul, or you want me to go?
You know what? I'll jump at it real quick. I'll jump at it.
Go for it.
I think it's fear of business, for them thinking that they may have to put down the pen or the pencil. You know, it's the trade-off.
So it's the lack of understanding that they don't necessarily have to do that, but not knowing that beforehand.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that
we do this all the time. We talk anyway. Go ahead. We do. I mean, you know,
it has to do with categories, right? Okay. A category that you feel you may belong in may not be your category to operate in. You know, I'm an artist, but I run the company. So can I really draw and pump out a book every month with my team, my creative team, and oversee all the business? No, that's not possible. I need a team to create that book, and then I need to oversee that book to make sure that it gets out and it's marketed properly and it gets in the hands of the people who need to see that book.
Okay. Correct. I want to add to the point here. A lot of it is knowledge, as well as what Paul is saying for sure. There are a number of factors here, but I just wanted, for all the creators that are out there right now listening to this, I want to challenge you and ask you. Marvel pre-COVID numbers had a little over 400 employees. And my question to all of you, how many of those 400 employees do you think were writers and artists? Okay. You don't have a corporate headquarters with 99 artists and writers and one business professional. In fact, if you were to look at those numbers pertaining to departments, whether it's a legal department, a marketing department, you have more people that are associated with some aspect of business than you do creators directly in that building. Now, it's not to take for granted that their access to writers and illustrators isn't vast and doesn't outnumber the people that they have in business, but 90, if not more, I like to err on the side of Pareto's distribution. So, 80-90% of what is making Marvel, DC Comics, even Image guys, Image, Value, you name it, what's making them a global brand is the focus on business. Now, there are a number of things you also have to look at. For you guys out there, another challenge question, and I wrote this one down. Why are so many indie creators creating comics on their own? Why is there such a just a emphasis that you have to go it alone? Even if you had a bad experience where one or two buddies didn't work out, why do you not build a team? Why are you not getting more people with diverse backgrounds? I'm not talking about ethnic backgrounds or geographic backgrounds. I'm talking about business, technology. Okay. Why are you not getting these people involved in your process? And I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact that the access to social media platforms and what they propagate to you. They propagate a level of convenience to you that makes you believe that it's a zero-sum game, that you're going to come here and you're going to win. They're going to cover everything. Well, one thing about multiverse, and Paul and I were talking about making this exchange and communication this week, is that multiverse is not a one, a solution that fits everyone. It's not a one-stop shop for everyone. And what you also have to understand is when we talk about a product such as Hero Ledger, which is a digital marketplace, we're talking about the ambassador project and program and application of several that we are building behind the scenes for you. And this project, this application does touch, as all of our programs do, on some aspect of the three pillars, which is brand recognition, monetization, and efficient collaboration. That efficient collaboration is with your peers. That efficient collaboration is also with your consumers, your readers, okay, and the buyers of any additional merchandise. You need a better way to engage them than just social media, because, and I go on this tangent about social because I've seen it personally. We don't use proper etiquette on social media. Let's be honest. A lot of times, people will make posts. Yeah, Paul's like, people will make posts and they will ask you questions, and you'll hit the like button, you hit the love, you'll clap, but you don't answer the question. You see, when someone makes a post and they are asking you something, you are supposed to respond or not respond. A like doesn't answer that unless they're saying, tap the like button and that'll let me know yes or no. Okay. You
At
see,
least, yeah. Right now, they're just being told, okay, I saw your comment. That's it.
right. I see, and if it's, we know we have a lot of artists and creators that want to show their art. Okay. And so, I'm guilty of the same, but I do try to talk to those creators and say what I like about what they're doing so that they have context, something that we typically don't get in a world where it's just fast media and the need to respond without really thinking about the impact to the person we're responding to, and how that reverberates back to us in terms of value, social value. So, there are a number of things that we want to get clear in the minds of creators. As we expose Paul and Alex, even you and our 16 plus partners now to multiverse as a software environment, we want you all to understand that various creators are going to need one or more tools from those applications. They won't need them all. I've seen some phenomenal policy. We talked about it. We always talk about this stuff. Yeah. We've seen some amazing comic creators that, their art couldn't get better. Their stories couldn't get better. Let's be honest. They're amazing at what they do, but they're not as well known. They're not a household name in the traditional sense. Right. And a lot of times, when I approach them, as I again talk to these creators weekly, they will become puzzled as to what the use of Hero Ledger is. Well, you've been creating art all this time. There are works that you do not use for your main productions, and you might feel very passionate about them. But I'm saying to you, make money on them. I'm not saying stop owning them. I'm not saying, that you have to, give them up. But what I'm saying is, like I found a creator. I'm not going to say any names. This creator does a terrific character artwork. and just cranks out character artwork every week. It's just cranking it out, right? Hitting those numbers that we always talk about. 300 plus intellectual property assets a year, cranking it out. And so I talked to this creator. I asked them, hey, have you thought about selling this? Oh no, I don't want to sell it. And on their profile, I'm looking for a job. Wait a minute. Okay, you need money, and you are creating the products to sell that would make money, but you won't do it.
So essentially, homie got to register at the crib, and he doesn't know how to access it to open up and take out that money, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. You absolutely do. You've got a safe, a vault, a cash register, as you said, Al, in the house, and you've either forgotten the combination, left the key, but you won't go in and get the cash out. And we're saying it's time out for that. There are more creators like Paul and like the 16 plus partners we have. And I want to do a shout out real quick to all those people who are partners. They should know who they are. I could go through the names. We don't have time for that. I will one day though. But these creators understand that their brands have to expand. They are technology conscious. Okay, meaning they understand that they have to evolve past social media. They have to evolve past even, Comixology and other comic book retail platforms that are not getting them the exposure they need. And they're competing not just against their peers, but their middle classmen and the upperclassmen. Okay. Yes. And when it comes to making sales, everybody's paying attention to the big guys.
Only,
when you can't absolutely, when you cannot quantify your experience, and that's what Paul is talking about, get into the business because it's going to help you to quantify your experience, your products, your team, as well as your audience. And when you can do that, you have a larger voice to businesses that are saying, we got to look at the numbers, guys. We can't just look at the fact that you love the stories and love the characters. Mm-hmm. And that's the business we bring. So I won't, I'll stop there because, again, this could turn into 4 or 5 hours.
No, but let's check it out though. We have a listener and Missy got goals and she goes, I own a beauty brand, but this information is very relatable and something that I can transcribe to my own business. Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
This is more. I mean, you learn a lot here because it's like you're saying, it is branding. So even if you're outside of comics, and you're still a brand, all this talk applies. Business is business.
Yeah, absolutely. See, business, listen, creators have got to understand the comic book is a result of your business model. I could not be more technical. I couldn't be more complicated than that. You see a comic book from Marvel, you see a comic book from DC, you see a comic book from Todd McFarlane, who's no longer with them, but he's killing it, right?
No, he's one of the few. Yes, he's one of the few, and he uses those numbers, like you said. He uses the numbers. Look at us, yo. It's taken 20 years, but now we sold X amount of this. This is the numbers, folks. These are the numbers. Numbers don't lie.
He's doing great numbers. 497,000. Who's counting? It's 500,000, right? We don't typically see that, right? Nobody's typically. Marvel's not even seeing that. Okay,
no, definitely not.
They're lucky if they see a 10.
Yes, thank you. Right. I think one of their biggest push, maybe after that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, those out there in comicdom, Black Panther had, I believe, 1 million in sales, but prior to that, and then after with all the titles that they have, even DC, they're not seeing those numbers. And a lot of times it's the myopathy. We're so focused on the US market. We forget that the United States has approximately 350 million people. When you take a place like China, which has almost 5 times that, India, 5 times that, and then Africa, which has 2 times the number that India or China has.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, we're not thinking globally, and when we do, sadly, we're having to engage these traditional, very expensive, very disconnected organizations, individuals, and groups that really don't take us where we need to be. because their mind is always on the top brands.
Yeah.
So,
or sometimes some of these
Multiverse,
brands only care about the IP in and of itself only. Like that's
sure,
it. I mean, there was
absolutely,
an
absolutely.
unfortunate incident that's been playing out that we've seen on socials where a certain publisher stopped publishing, has kept the IPs of the creators, and then tells the creator, well, if you want it back, give us X amount of dollars plus shipping costs. Huh?
Wow. Yeah.
See, so so protect your IPs, folks. I mean, and be smart about contracts, because I know that's another thing about everything within the multiverse. Smart contracts. You know what you're doing, how you're doing it. There's control, there's ownership, there's leasing. Sure. I mean,
and there are people behind the processes too.
Yes.
One of the things that Paul represents, and one of the things that the people represent is the part of the business that the software can't do. Software can only do so much, and that's why we have partners. That's why we have a team. That's why we have external partners outside of the multiverse, because people have to be involved. When you look on our page, you'll see an attorney. There are other attorneys involved that aren't on the page, firms and what have you, because they're necessary. So yeah.
How do you feel about that, Paul? I saw you shake your head tremendously. What?
Oh man!
I mean, I don't want to name them and give them brand space on my airways right now, but I don't know if you're aware of who they are. I'll throw it in the private chat over here. But this particular company, just basically been robbing creators blind. And even at MegaCon, I ran into a creator that was like, I can't say too much now, but I should be getting it back soon. Well, I found out a week after, yes, he is getting it back, but with exceptions. Well, this label has to finish it first, the OG story. Then they have to be able to publish XXX, and then and only then, okay, then it's back to you. Like what? Wow. But he created this for you. I just don't understand independent comic book companies that will take an independent creator like that and just hurt them and abuse them. Apparently, there was even a creator that worked with these folks that felt that they ghosted him on his project and actually committed suicide over this. So there's also been a loss of life over the issues with this company that I hope gets taken care of rather quickly.
That smells very legal. That smells very legal. That smells like attorneys and law firms and a lot of people. But go ahead, Paul. Take that, man.
Man, that is heavy. That's real heavy. Because a lot of us are sacrificing a lot to be able to do this business, any business that you're starting on your own. So having something taken away from you that you spent all that time into, man, you gotta protect yourself. You gotta, if you don't have a comic book company and you're producing comics, go get that LLC. Take care of that part. If you're saying you're a business, get that LLC. Now, if you're saying you're putting out comics, you need to be looking at copyrights, trademarks. You need to be looking at all of that, not just one of those things. But if somebody comes along, takes your baby project and throws it out there and it catches all kind of fish, well, you've lost, because now they can just come right in, take your baby project, and now it's theirs. Whether it be HBO, whether it be, now a product of Hulu, now a product of Netflix, or it's gone. It's gone, and you can't get it back. You can't get it back. It's just out there. So you just, you really, I think artists, especially artists who just, even when they just put in out work, just regular work. My older brother, he told me this before I started the company. And he said to me, hey, you know what? You got a lot of comic book art. You're recovering right now from an injury. Why don't you do something with that art? That's just money sitting there, waiting for something to go on with it. You can make money from that. You've got talent. Why don't you do it? And I started thinking about it, and I go, well, why am I just sitting here on all of this, art? I could be doing something with it. And that's what I want to tell artists or creators or brand owners right now who is popping into the chat, that everything you produce is something of value.
Yep.
And everything you do on social media is watched. So not only by the big guys or the next to the big guys, but by us too. Because when we look at an artist or when we look at somebody's page, especially like on an Instagram, I want to see what you have. What is the product that you're presenting as a brand? What is the art that you're, want to put out there as your message, as your go-to, something that you love to do? That's what I want to see. And so if you're not doing that, you got to clean up those Instagram pages. If you're not doing that, you gotta get more streamlined with it and go back. And even if you have to delete things that don't have anything to do with your business or your brand off that page, do it, because it's only a positive for you. It's only for success for you to be able to do that, so that we're not looking at, a bunch of everything. Your grandmother's recipe, your homeboy's date that he had, and he tells you what happened on the whole thing, and y'all got communication going on. We need to
certain things that people shouldn't know about. TMI stuff, I get it. Don't do that. If you're gonna do TMI, make it about your project, about your brand, about yourself, in a positive light.
Or separate. There are tons of websites that allow you to be you as the brand. Aboutme.com. I mean, I think it's about.me or something like that. It literally lets you take all the vanity shots you want and talk about yourself and do that. But like Paul was saying, when you're representing your comic brand, you need to be very clear on the message, because that's going to go to the audience and to a specific audience. Sometimes you get audiences you didn't think you were going to get or even want, but you got them. And a lot of that has to do with planning, and a lot of it has to do with foresight, paying more attention to what's happening. A lot of creator spaces, especially in art, are being co-opted by those with political messages. And this is not something that happens towards the voting part of the electoral cycle. It's something that's actually occurring quite often at multiple junctures. And, for those that want to be a part of those messages, no problem. But for those who are unaware that that's happening, you want to have more awareness of how your product can be co-opted, how your brand can be co-opted without you knowing it. Because one of the political strategies out there is to not only control the narrative, but it is to co-opt the symbol. And if you have a symbol, we've seen this with Alan Moore's work, right? So with V for Vendetta, we've seen V, the symbol, co-opted. Now, Moore spoken about that. He had no problem with it. I don't have a problem with it, but these things happen without the creator's permission. Whether Alan Moore liked it or not, it was too late. It was done. Yes. And so we have to be aware of that. We may have something that, it goes global for a multitude of reasons. And what Paul said earlier is so important. Everything Paul is saying here is important, but specifically about what you have having value. You guys don't understand that in the insular community, as Paul mentioned, there are millions of you globally. You guys are making financial exchanges with one another. It costs money to create these characters. Even when you sit down at your electronic table and you draw at your electronic tablet, whatever you got, whether you're doing it on Bristol, old school, whatever, there's a financial value attached to what you're doing. You may think, oh, well, I'm doing this so there's no money. No, it's been calculated, guys. And that's why we're here, is to show you the metrics, to get you to understand that you're more valuable. That's why the larger guys can laugh at you. That's why they can beat you to the market. That's why they can beat your butts in the market, because you don't understand values. I had a creator literally say to me that we want to ignore, speaking for other creators, by the way, and usually I don't accept that, but in this case, they were correct. Of course, I shared this with Paul. This creator said, hey, we want to ignore the business. Well, we all want to ignore the business. Who doesn't want to sleep in on a Saturday morning? Okay. But if you're Al, you got 9 podcasts in a row. If you're Dion Wilson, you got 4 business calls on a Friday. Okay. Who wants that? I don't, but I do it because that's what keeps the lights on and keeps the food on the table. You see, so ignoring it doesn't make the problem go away. In fact, it exacerbates the problem. We're proposing an environment that's not just software, but is an environment of people where we come together, we work together. Solutions are for everyone to participate in, not for 1 or 2 to give and the rest to take. That's not how it works. We work as a team. We collaborate together. You guys already do what we propose. We're just proposing it in a way where you just never thought about it. You guys are already making these exchanges for one another. And, to back to Paul for a moment, Paul is here, as he mentioned, to look at your brands, to see what you're doing. And you may say, well, I don't want anybody looking at my brands. I don't care. Everybody's looking at you.
Anyway,
we're just telling you what we're doing. Yeah. See, Marvel and DC sneak around my LinkedIn account all the time.
Oh, yeah. I see Disney, Marvel, and DC in mine.
Absolutely.
Like, huh?
Right? Yeah. All the time. They're paying attention. Are you? You see? They know how to quantify what you do and what you don't do, what you say, what you don't say, who you associate with, right? Who you're not associated with. Are you doing this? So Paul is looking. Paul is looking for the multiverse. He's looking for your benefit. He's looking for the larger benefit of the global artistic community that says we want to step it up. We want to level up our game. Right now, your sister environment, the video game industry, is kicking your behind. Okay. And they come from you. Okay. It's kind of like Zeus and the Titans, right? When the gods decided to attack the Titans, they killed them. They had to get rid of them. And so that's what's happening in the video game industry. They're killing the comics. We're talking, I think, pre-COVID numbers, 200 billion or close to 200 billion in revenue globally. Okay. Now I know that the comic industry has that and more. You guys create $7 to $10 billion in value every year from your intellectual property. Every year. It took Marvel 80 years to be sold to Disney for about 4 billion of that, for about a little under half. And you guys create twice that every year. But you're not aware of it. You're not aware of it. I am, because I've asked a lot of you. I've taken time to quantify. I put it in front of my data analysts to do the rest. And we want to show you that you have it. So Paul is looking. He's quantifying. He's checking out what you're doing. And we're going to be picking indie companies that we feel they don't have to have the commercial success. They just have to be commercially viable. And we can look at those companies and tell which ones are. And we're going to work to position those companies through our software, through our teams, okay, through our process.
That's a new hashtag.
Oh, man,
I like that.
I feel like Santa Claus now.
I was just going to say that, right? So we're going to be looking, and Paul's going to be looking, and he's going to be choosing indie creators that have their stuff together, and anyone that want to get their stuff together. Now's the time. You see, all of you guys have said this before. You're looking for the next Marvel and DC. You've missed it. The next Marvel or DC is an entire ecosystem. You see, that's what the future is creator economy. It's not one company over another. It's several. So that's what we're going to be doing. Excuse me.
Excellent. That's what we want, and we're about to close the show because, I got several more to knock out, but I want to give out the hypocrite here. I won't say his last name or that's hilarious. Paul is a great artist and a better businessman. He says, over the past few weeks, he's explained how this works, and I'm honestly shocked. There's so little eyes on this stuff. And that's why I keep bringing them on. I want people to know this is some real business right here. This is some really good stuff. That's all about helping the community, building the community, empowering creators. That's my big thing that I love about what Dion and now Paul is bringing to the table. It's about empowerment, folks, knowledge. Yep. You don't have to, like that example Dion said. The dude doesn't want to sell the work, but looking for work. I mean, it doesn't make sense, folks. If you got it, use it. You know what I mean? Use your skills, use your talent.
Absolutely.
Paul, as the new Jack, I'll leave you. What are your last words for our community today?
You know what? Just come by my Instagram or come by my YouTube channel and just drop me a comment or send me a message. If you have some questions, if you have anything you want to know, or you just want to talk, or you want to talk about how to build your brand and your business, just contact me and we'll talk.
And there you go. Awesome. Dion, thank you for bringing and presenting Paul to the community over here. Paul, you're definitely the man. And bro,
thank you.
If you listen, as an advocate for indie, bro, Comic Crusaders is on your team as well. Forget about it. All right.
Thank you.
We're family now. We're all about crusading for independence. So you know what it is. Please make sure to check out all the greatness of Multiverse. There goes everything right there. They're on Facebook, they're on Discord, Slack, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. Everywhere. Yeah, Twitch. Right there, and on Twitch. I left that one all by itself because you're now on Twitch as well.
Twitch,
doing some stuff there. So make sure.
What are we doing on Twitch? Paul, what are we doing on Twitch?
We are going to be doing a podcast on Twitch every now and then, and drop one. We haven't made out a full schedule for you yet. But we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing some watch parties, possibly.
There we go.
Hey,
that's going to be nice. It's going to be fun. So yeah, y'all need to tune in.
So tune in and become part of this beautiful community. And let's leave it with this, where Michael Beasley says of Paul is a great friend that inspired me to publish my first book. I really enjoy our friendship. Look at that, a testament there of the coolness of Mr. Paul Berry. And of course,
we're going to change it to the Paul verse. We're going to get rid of Multiverse.
Because Paul is looking. That's the hashtag. Paul is looking.
We don't want it to be the Paul verse.
Paul is looking. Paul is watching. Paul is watching.
There you go, folks.
Big brother.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Please make sure to check out everything from Multiverse. Check out Paul, support independent creators. My outro tells you everything that you need to do, with the exception of make sure to visit our brand new comic shop at comiccrusaders.shop and our ultimate swag shop at comiccrusaders.us. The rest is in the outro. Thank you, muchachos. Hasta la próxima. Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.com and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.